Mwena abatulaba ku Soul TV baniriza ku program Unveiled Experience ekutusibwako banaffe aba Lukoba Sites Limited era nga bakugamba nti gwe omuntu yenna ayagala okugula ettaka aba Lukoba Sites Limited bokka wali mukono Kayunga Road ate be bagenda okubanga bakufunira ettaka n'ekyapa ekirungi etaliko kintu kyonna kyoyinza okubanga weekwasa. Program Unveiled Experience olunaku olwaleero tugikoledde ene Kasese ku district headquarters nga tugenda kubanga tubatuusako emboozi gye tuzze tufollowinga okubalaga amataba galumba ebitundu by'e Kasese wali Kasika we tubadde tubalaga n'okumakya mwalabyeyo naye nga ku luno tuyina ate abakulu okuva side zombi okuva mu government Prime Minister's Office ate ne ku district nga twagala kumanya enteekateeka zituuseewa ez'okubanga abantu bano abafunye obuzibu bayambibwa. So sijja kubaluyisaawo munzikirize nsookereko ku side eno ate omugenyi waffe asooke yeyanjulire kuba tulaba ku Soul TV then nzire ku side eno ate naye atweyanjulire. Afande, we are live on Soul TV and you can briefly greet our viewers and make an introduction.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to Soul TV viewers. I'm Brigadier General James Chinarwa. I'm the head of National Emergency Coordination Operation Center. The National Emergency Operation Center is under the Department of Disaster Preparedness and Management, which is in the office of the Prime Minister. Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me now go to this side and I also do an introduction and say hi to our viewers on Soul TV.
Good morning, viewers. I'm very happy to be hosted by Soul TV this morning. My name's Joseph Isingoma, Senior Planner, Kasese District Local Government, and I head Secretariat, Disaster Management Committee, Kasese District. Happy to be with you today.
Thank you so much. Our viewers, we are going to look at the incident that happened during, I think, like 2-3 days back at Kasika, and request the control room to put for us those pictures of yesterday bwe twabadde tulambula site yennyini nga ndi ne Afande ne team okuva ku district n'abalala nga tulambula site as Afande agenda kubanga atubuulira bwe ba visiting the site, like when you visited the site, what did you observe and what are you going to do for now before we reach the relief and other things you're going to provide. But briefly, you tell us, what did you find at the site where the incident happened yesterday?
Thank you. When the information reached our office, that was early morning on Wednesday. Yes, on Wednesday morning, as I entered the office, we got the information that mudslide had hit Kasika village in Lukochi sub-county, Kasese district. And as the head of the National Emergency Coordination Operation Center, we had to immediately call our District Emergency Coordination Operation Center in Kasese to give us at least the preliminary information about what had really happened, whether they needed our support. Indeed, they called back and gave us a preliminary assessment of the situation, and we felt the situation wasn't all that good. And that is how we sat as NECOC under the guidance of our Commissioner for the Disaster Preparedness and Management, and we selected a small team to come to Kasese, and the team comprised the GIS specialists. We had the Senior Disaster Management Office on board, and also we had the Emergency Communication Officer, headed by me personally. I wanted to come on the ground to see what had happened. We had to come, but we reached here very late and we couldn't visit the scene. So yesterday, when you met us there, we had gone with that small team, together with the district team, to see really what happened. What I saw on ground was something new. It's a new phenomenon which we have not experienced. We had not experienced in all the disasters that have occurred in Uganda. We are used to landslides and as well as floods. However, this time around, we noticed what happened was not very common. It is a mudslide, but a mudslide that came without prior warning. Neither was the district aware that disaster could happen. It is something that was triggered by removal of what we would call stormwater stoppages. I understand yesterday when we were at the site there, I was told by one elderly woman that initially there was a very big tree up there, which along the same tree was a big stone which could stop stormwater from flowing down at a terrific speed. It was like a speed governor controlling the water. So when they removed that tree, they left a stone which was gradually eroded. The soil under it was eroded, and it made the stone go to be suspended in the air. Now, it is just simple physics. If there is resistance and the resistance is removed, the force that removes that resistance comes with a terrific speed. It's the same science used in making electricity. They make sure that they bring a lot of water and push it in a narrow entrance. So the force that comes, because it is resisted, it creates another force, forcing to go in. And that one creates a speed that can now turn the turbines. It's what happened yesterday. Okay. No, the other day. Okay. So we studied it, and we realized that I think it is high time also we include it as a possible, it's a possible hazard that could create a disaster. And that's why we have a team on ground which is doing risk mapping, looking at all spurs in that general area and the reentrants, because it is the spur and the reentrant that worked together to create that storm that loaded down all the stones and destroyed the houses. So that's what I saw, and it's a lesson learned. We are now taking it on as part of the hazards that we can now capture and look out for. Okay. Because it can cause a disaster.
Thank you, Brigadier General James Narwana. And now I'm going this side. We just want to know, like, the moment the incident happened, what did you do as the district to rescue first those people who are affected by such incident, the disaster?
Thank you, Bwana Moderator. First of all, I want to thank Brigadier General for the background. Actually, yeah, I don't know which course he did, but he has brought the issue the way we had put it on paper. As a district disaster management committee, like we usually do, Kasese is now an experienced district. This is not the disaster of its kind. We have been facing a lot of disasters, landslides, floods, and windstorms and the rest. What we did in the first place as the District Disaster Management Committee, we co-issued a team, a multi-sectoral team of officers, technical officers, including the partners. And what we are looking at is the data collection, because we wanted our decision to be informed by details, by data. So we called on Red Cross, we called on Save the Children and other partners, and we went direct to the ground to ascertain what has exactly happened. Indeed, quite a number of people had been affected. From the rapid assessment, the total number of households that had been affected by 8th of September 2022, we had a total of 170. Rapidly, that's what we ascertained. Okay. So we collected data on many indicators, including the number of crop fields affected, how many villages were affected, and we came to know that about 5 villages were affected. But the epicenter of this disaster was in Kasika, Kasika village, and that's where the most destruction happened. And that's where we recovered a number of bodies, about 16, like you heard of the TV, other TVs and radios. 16 were dead or died. Immediately after, of course, after the data collection, we had to embark on report development. We developed a report, and we called it a rapid assessment report. Rapid, because it was necessary, because the partners wanted to know what is happening, what can we do. It was a report to trigger a rapid response. And that report has been shared. Yesterday, like Brigadier John has said, I joined the team. He led the team from Office of the Prime Minister, and I interested myself and the rest of the DDMC members to join the team and ascertain what could be other needs, the life-saving needs. A lot of registration was done yesterday by Red Cross, and it is ongoing. We want to know who are the affected, where are they, have they gone to the host families, have they gone to the risk zones, because we are able, during the assessment, we were also able to identify the risk zones. And we're also trying to sensitize the local communities about the risk areas, and we encourage them really to relocate to safer zones.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now back to Brigadier General. What are the measures now so far you've put in place to help such people? Because at least we got information that yesterday you were in a meeting. So briefly, would you share with us, with the public, the resolutions that came out from the meeting?
Yes, we had a fruitful meeting yesterday, which brought on board a number of organizations, stakeholders, and that was the first meeting that the Office of Prime Minister was also engaged in.
Yes.
Because we came the other night. Yesterday in the morning we had to go on the site to see exactly on the scene, to see what happened and how the situation was. We got a number of reports right from the Red Cross. We are registering the flood, the disaster victims. We had also reports from the Health Department on what they were doing about the injured, and also the infrastructure which was also destroyed, because when such disasters happen, a number of life support infrastructures are affected, water, the hospitals and all that. So we got all those reports, but what we resolved on was, one, what we are now looking at is post-disaster recovery activities. Disaster occurred, people died, but the injured who are being treated, and all those, the survivors, they need to survive. So the main effort now is on the post-disaster recovery activities. So what does it entail? What is required right now is the compilation of a comprehensive needs assessment report. That report is additional to the rapid assessment they did, because the rapid assessment, what they are doing now is to confirm exactly what was captured in the rapid assessment is what is on the ground currently. Because by that time they were running up and down to put together something that could inform the center, the national, the Office of the Prime Minister, for what they would require, to transit from the disaster period to the post-disaster period. So right now, what we are trying to compile is the comprehensive needs assessment report. What does it help in this period? The comprehensive needs assessment report brings out the various needs that the people surviving would need for them to continue to improve on the livelihood and also settle down. So unless that report is compiled and submitted, the central government, in this case I mean the Office of Prime Minister, may not be in position to help the victims.
Yes.
Why am I saying so is that government works with data. The government cannot release any help unless it has the data. How many people have need that help, which type of help is needed, in which quantity, okay, and for how long. So that is what they have to compile. And I understand, according to what we saw yesterday in the meeting, by the end of today, that report will be ready. Secondly, we are looking at, is there a need to create IDP, internally displaced people's camp? You know, IDP comes along with a number of other requirements. You need security, you need the land, you need all of that, which are not in place right now. So we are trying to encourage, to convince families to host these people, take them on so that we can support them when they are in those homes. As the government and the district and the central government also look at the possibility of resettling them. Of course, those people will not go back to where they were staying, because right now, where the stormwater passed is now a river.
Yeah.
It's now a permanent river which can't be blocked. And we don't know how much water it collects up there. Maybe we can confirm, because right now we have a team which has gone to do risk mapping. It will tell us how much water is being collected from uphills through that channel now which has been created. And that means there's no more settlement in that area. So people have been settled there, they need to be relocated. Where to be relocated is the homework. So that is what we are doing, compiling the comprehensive needs assessment report, and also see what we can do to those people who need to be hosted.
Okay. So before I get back to you, I still, there is one thing, Brigadier General James Narwana, there is one thing we want to know about the food stuff. Now, the public is interested, not only the public, but also we journalists, we want to know our brothers and sisters, they are starved in their houses, they are compiled, they are camped in one places. So, yeah, now 2 days. So how far have you reached? At least the first relief before you collect the data.
Yes, we go back to what my colleague, the district planner, alluded to. When the disaster happened, they went underground and they had a rapid assessment made.
Yes.
The rapid assessment informed the rapid assessment report. That report was submitted to the Office of Prime Minister, and based on that, the Office of the Prime Minister released what we call emergency food relief.
Okay, that's
when a disaster strikes, there is always emergency food relief released. That emergency food relief and non-food items, which are victims of that disaster, who are displaced and have nothing at all. We know survival of man does not only depend on food, but food primarily essential need.
Of course.
Primarily, you need to have food. So food was released immediately, and food is already at the district here for those victims of the disaster. The only thing is that the food which was released was based on the number of people who were submitted in the rapid assessment report, but that food cannot be tagged on a time frame. Why am I saying so? Because the Department of Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Management can only release food based on the comprehensive report. Because the rapid assessment gives rough figures, not established figures. Right now, what is being done is to register the number of victims, which were not registered initially. So the food was released based on numbers, but not on the registered people. So the numbers released, the food was released, We don't know whether it can cover them for a week or two, but our understanding is that by that time, the comprehensive report will have been finalized, submitted, and it will be the basis to send relief for the victims.
Oh,
so far, let me conclude with this. So far, 10 and a half tons, which is 10,500 kilograms of posho, has been delivered to the district, and 5 tons and a quarter of beans, that is 5,250 kilograms of beans have been released. It's already at the district, and 200 pieces of tarpaulins, because it's a rainy season.
Yes.
For those people who have nowhere to sleep, they can erect maybe a shelter over their head and sleep.
Oh, that's a good report so far. I think now our brothers and sisters and whoever is watching, Ugandans and those are watching us from outside Uganda, at least you can give a credit to the government of Uganda and the office of the Prime Minister.
Certainly.
That by so long as the time incident happened, there was a relief. There was some help that was at least given to our people.
Yep.
So now back to you, the district planner.
Yes.
At least you can mix some lukonzo so that our people nabo bawulire ekigenda maaso. Were you having any other plan, like we say it's called a dangerous substitute, or anything that you had in your plan is before you ask for help from the government, just in case that happened, in case such incident happened, like as a district?
Thank you, moderator. In brief, sincerely, we did not have any relief item in our stores. You are well aware that we still host an IDP camp in Muhocha, and most of the relief items, specifically food, had been given to the recent consignment was given to Muhocha IDP camp. We had gone ahead to sensitize our communities about this dangerous period. You know, if you can recall, in 2021, that same month between August and September, we experienced massive landslide. This time it wasn't a mudslide. It was a landslide in Kilembe, in a parish called Bunyandiko. So we had alerted we are alerting our community members about the likelihood of occurrence of any mudslide or landslide. Only that I think it's an issue of mindset. We have taken our time to go to the radios. We've taken our time to talk about this even in any ceremony, be it a burial, be it a party. We talk about disasters in Kasese and how possible we can mitigate them. It's unfortunate that it happened in a sub-county where it had never happened. Like in Rukoki, Sicily, historically we had never expressed such in Rukoki. But as a planner, part of the planning, we had encouraged at least the heads of the coast centers, especially the sub-county chiefs, to identify some areas which can serve as our evacuation centers. So that if, for example, you are assessing something, you assessing something, you can take quickly the not the victims, but the people in the prone areas to that evacuation center. And I can say that out of the 23 disaster-prone sub-counties, about 8 have submitted their list of the possible evacuation centers. And two, it is unfortunate that a disaster does not communicate earlier. we rarely see warnings early warning signs for these, especially the mudslides. For floods, we have the river gauge and other early warning systems installed. But for a mudslide, for a landslide, unless we be critical about the key signs, the early warning signs. Yeah. But it will always find us unaware. The most important thing is to now I just want to talk about what the general said about the risk mapping. Risk mapping should have done even by yesterday or before yesterday, because if we went around or in these mountainous sub-counties, you will always see that people are staying in the very risky zones. Now, we are hopeful that the assessment report, the risk mapping report, will inform the decisions of government, whether to relocate people, whether to, a lot of decisions are going to be made.
Okay. So, thank you so much. Now, before I let General, I know General has very little time here, yeah. But of course, the biggest point is, after collecting the data, after having food reliefs and staffs, the biggest point is, how sure are we going to be, or are you going to escort these reliefs to make sure that the real victims have access to those things, the food? Then again, we have our people in the hospitals. We have our people who have lost businesses and houses. So what plans do you have for them?
I didn't know that I was going into the details of what is what are the components, yes, of the comprehensive needs assessment report. Among the components of the needs assessment report is the cost implication. What that report has to include right now, I've already informed the viewers that the rapid assessment report informs part of the comprehensive needs assessment report. Not much really is changed from it, but we just add on the information as it is collected along the way. Now, when we are doing a comprehensive needs assessment report, the word you quote, the word needs. Needs entails many things. What are the victims? What do they need for them to regain their livelihood? That's one. Two, within that, their social amenities, schools, hospitals, the roads, and whatever, which are affected by the disaster, they need to be repaired and put back to use. All that informs the needs assessment. So, in this report, which is going to come out, we shall have to include, for these families to be resettled and regain their livelihood, they will need this. For those ones who lost their businesses, they may need this. For the road, because when we went yesterday, along that road, we saw 5 points where water crossed. And that implies that that road now will need culverts on every crossing point to guide the water so that the water does not wash away the road. True. So all that should be included in the comprehensive needs assessment report. And when that is compiled and reaches the office of the Prime Minister or our office, which is the Department of Disaster Preparedness and Management, what we do, we sieve out what has to be done by the Ministry of Education, what has to be done by the Ministry of Agriculture, what has to be done by the Ministry of Works. And we compile that in terms of cost implication. And we forward to the office of the Prime Minister, who subsequently also forwards to those ministries to immediately undertake the rehabilitation needed. So that is what That's why we are saying the government's response will be based on the comprehensive needs assessment report.
Okay. So, of course, you saw some of these incidents when they happen. Most of the times, the government tries to relocate such people in that place, but it's not a simple process. Like our viewers, our people here in Kasese and other places, people in Mbare, Bududa, such things happen, such disaster. They are all watching us. What is that special word you would give or advice you would offer to those people who are watching us but staying in such places? And sometimes when they tell them, you people, we are shifting you to these places, they complain and they refuse totally to leave such places, especially in this rainy season we are in.
Moderator and dear viewers, let's be realistic now. You know, there are two gentlemen who never sleep in the same bed. There's a gentleman called Ideal and there's another gentleman called Reality.
Oh, that one I have learned.
They never sleep in the same bed.
Ideal
and reality. Ideally, if you were told to leave a risky zone, ideally, you would leave because it's about your life. Reality, it's a bit difficult. Why? We Africans, we are known to attach our lives to ancestral homes. You go to England, you go to America, you go to China, you'll always feel you have the attachment to your ancestral home. It has been experienced in areas where people have been relocated. I've been to Bududa, I've been to Namisindwa, I've been to Manafa. Many of those people were relocated during those landslides. To others were taken to Chiriandongo, others were taken to Bunambutie. Houses were constructed and people were relocated. However, recently when we went for risk mapping in the same area, we found the same people who had been relocated in those areas. And even when they die in Bunambutie or in Chiriandongo, they shift the bodies back to the ancestral homes. So ideally, they would have moved. Yes, they moved. But the reality is, so sorry to try to go into those details, but I wanted the viewers to understand the reality on the ground. The government will always strive to make sure that its people remain safe, and it's its duty. Right now we came with a team of GIS specialists to go and do risk mapping. Why? To avoid such things happening without us knowing that people living in this area are at a risk. So it is better we record it, and so that the government undertakes plans on how they can relocate those people. However, relocating them is not something simple. First of all, it has a lot of cost implication, looking for alternative land, buying it and develop it, so that these people relocated, someone leaving his house, built over 40 years, to be relocated to somewhere else. How would you feel even if you were the one? So it is something that is done against the will of those people, but then it's the duty of the government to make sure that these people are safe. So, in a nutshell, we are saying, if need be, these people have to be relocated. And it's the duty of the government to look for safer areas, alternative areas, and settle these people in. Now, you are saying what?
Your message.
My message to those people.
Those people living in such places.
That's why I started by saying ideal and reality. My message to the people living under those risky areas. Science rarely go wrong. I'm saying rarely because at times scientists also make mistakes. But in most cases, we rely on their findings for us to act. So when we realize that the place is risky, for the people to live in. I call upon all people living in those risk areas, accept that is another fate that comes along in life. Just accept and be relocated. I only assure viewers that if you happen to be in a risky area, trust the government, because the government wishes you well. Government wishes you well, and if you are told to relocate, please relocate. The only call which I feel the government also has to listen to is to make sure that it comes out with a policy. What happens to this land when people have been relocated? Right now, it's unclear because the land remains there, nobody takes over that land, and that's why it attracts these people to come back, because the land remains there. So I think the government needs to come out with a policy, which I think will be worked on, to see what happens to this land when people have been relocated, because that land, we already condemn it, that it is risky, people cannot live there. But so what? It is still existing. So we need to do something on that land, either to recover it by planting trees so that the soil does not erode, so that it is useful to the government, even if it is risky for the people to live in. So people out there, please trust the government wishes you well. The government will make plans to make sure that you survive for another day.
Okay, tukyali ku program Unveiled Experience ku Soul TV ekutusibwako banafe aba Lukoba Sites. Ba Lukoba Sites Limited era abatunda amataka wali emukono road au Kayunga road emukono osobola okutukawo n'osobola okubanga wefunira ku kyape ky'ettaka. Wano we tuli Kasese District Headquarters era nga tutunulira ensonga y'amataba agalumbye ebitundu ziri 5 points abasinga mbadde mumanyemu wali bayita Kasika.
Yes.
At that point we discovered that there are 5 channels eza bonyabonyezeddwa ezabatawanyiziddwa amataba. Naye mu kiseera kino ekirungi nti afande waali okuva mu Prime Minister's Office era representing the government ate ne district nayo weeri okubanga ensonga zino bazirambulira bulungi. We have just like only 10 minutes and I want Brigadier General to leave us before tulina okumaliza program yaffe bulungi. Let me just give you like few seconds, minutes, or like 2 only minutes, then you explain, you give an assurance to the people of Kasese that at the district you're going to make sure that you follow the procedures and every victim asobola okubanga ayambibwa. But I would love you to explain in Rokonzo so that these people may be assured that in case there is any relief, any help, everybody is going to get his or her share. Yes, please, kindly.
Thank you, moderator. Thank you, viewers, once again. In the first place, I want to condole with the families that lost their dear ones. May the soul of the deceased rest in peace. Ngakumwa namo waba mama na batata office ya Prime Minister kakwikana kola nabule cheru tumesi emebere ye kakoleramu yabere tuletere byalya ebe kasa kukiramono erisawe ticha bandu abatsendibawa ne biyeri kwesi ne byondo ekasika ngakumunasi kitsebwe kinenene aha bandu batabira wono mutaka kyabyo omwaka trading center kekasika betu omu assessment yetu diritimbatimba mu parish hiyo si Kigoro 1 mtu kana sangana esha village esikiro mwitano na shisha nabere affected twabiri ingejinga itwenge district tunemukolongana ne timu ya Red Cross Uganda Red Cross Society since the time of the event. They have been on ground, and today they are on ground trying to take full registration of the affected households. Echikala ketwanze rekola etwanze registering obule mundu kukira mundu yabi affected that to kamenya ebintu byangasa relief, especially food that we have so far received in the office of Prime Minister to kanze ribya to kanze making sure to tibya mahiko kwa mundu wenyine nyine. And like in a meeting yatwa nabya mu muliolo with the Brigadier General and the rest of the partners, mutu kanavya tukakiraya tuti a police na UPDF ikendevya on ground as we distribute this food, because there are people who always want to take advantage of any situation. We tukandheri manyisha kasese na banyarukoki tutebyale byatukate ke rukoki omwakasika omwaparisia kigoro wanu si yabule mundu busi kandi sichiri mansa chitukusa ngoli omwaparisia kigoro wanu kwesi uli mwa village ya eyabere bya mentioned inge village yabe affected ambuno kentungo kwa byale ye. No, we are not going to do that. We shall go with the list, tukaenda ne list eyabe generated and genuinely generated by LOC1s chairpersons of Mwaparisia Kigoro 1. Tueta maha tute opole mundu eyabiri byo kwa list eya no kwa list kandi yabe bya recorded ngo mundu yana very affected akende tungo kwa mwathi wabiri asa jendonga kwa nalia buwa tuyete bya posho tuyete bihimba tuyete ne shataplins shataplins nganza reba bwera bamana batata ndese syabole mundu nga mutu ane nga tune mwikwa ma register shataplins nebe kumebebere they are 1200 pieces and they are not going to be given to every person. We are targeting esha households esha very local esha nyutu esha nyumba esha very holoka kushisha nyumba esha very ter ngabwera bamama batata in the situanzire tuka hikayo tukabye twabireleta sabukonti yose ambo muka in the ekise chenebya kandi ngayita ngaswasabende tubye bwabuholo ba partners bakindi asa still bakawaticha mwamibere yabakitokeramu government ngakuya nama central government office of the prime minister ngakuya nama kola kandi ngakuya nama tulaga yeti ikibya naye nemwasa basing on the assessment report, the comprehensive assessment report we will submit to them.
Okay, so finally Afande, as we conclude, of course I know you've traveled very many districts. Just your last word to Ugandans who are watching us. Your last word.
Thank you, moderator. Dear Ugandans who are watching SOT TV, for the few months I've worked as the head of National Emergency Coordination Operations Center. I've traveled widely, especially in disaster-prone districts. That is Toroko, Bondibujo, Kisoro, Kabale, Kasese, generally the whole of Erigoni region, and briefly in areas of Bulisa. The rains are on. This is September, and we expect, according to the recently released weather forecast, for September, October, November, and December, which we commonly call Sondi. That quarter, we are likely, many parts of the country, likely to get relatively above normal rainfall, though some areas of the country will get normal rainfall. However, those areas that are expected to get above normal rainfall, this is a humble call to all of you people, that those ones in hill areas, please, you can move to safer areas during this period. I know it's not easy, but as long as the district disaster management committee come up and tell you that it is a risky area, please move and maybe be hosted by a relative for this period. For those in flood-prone areas like Ntoroko, like Bulisa, move your valuables away from those areas and keep them somewhere, because at the end of the day, the government may not be in position really to compensate whatever you lose within those floods. This is a humble call. I know it's not easy, but we always strive to live another day. Please, please, heed to the advice given to you, heed to the warnings given to you for the safety of your life, but also for the good of your country. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Mwebale nnyo mwena abadde mutulaba okuviira dda we twatandikidde program Unveiled Experience nga twogera ku nsonga ey'amataba agalumbye ekitundu kya Kasese District. Era njagala kwebaza abagenyi bange okuva ku district headquarters mu government of our Prime Minister's office. I really don't take this opportunity for granted. Thank you for giving us time, and we pray that we shall be with you so that everything moves on well and we give it publicity to Ugandans and to the world. My name is Godfrey Mwebaze. Twebaza Balukoba Sites Limited abadde batuteeka mu sente okubanga tukola program ya feno naye mu kiseera kino munzikirize tubasibulire wano tugenda kubanga tukomawo ne programs endala. Dora Jimizi yaddako mubeere bulungi mweraba.